sleepy.
Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darce podcast.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the Darce podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the Darce podcast. Throwing Yair up elbows and all sorts of strikes. You know what it is. I'm here with my guys, Mr. Plus Money, who slept, Slick Montana, Cal on the ones and twos. I'm your boy, Danny Brasco, and we're here to break down UFC Vegas 103 Fight Night that, doesn't have any big marquee names, but like we always say, fellas, if two people are punching each other in the face, I'm betting on it. And low-key, there's some sneaky bangers. Every single time we say, oh, it's a weak card, pure violence, right? So, fellas, coming off that Cejudo Yadong Fight Night card, and 4 Mr. Plus parlay buses have cashed in a row, baby. All aboard. The pod is hot. I mean, Brasco breakdowns were hot before that. Prior to that, Slick reports were hot. So just keep rolling, guys. Keep it rolling. And plus, I got to get all your guys' reactions on the end of that Cejudo Yadong main event. Very strange outcome. I didn't have any bets. Did you have anything, and how were they graded?
I did have Triple C, and I don't regret it. I think he was just starting to turn it up. And if that got to deeper waters, I don't think we've seen Song Yadong there enough times in those later rounds to know what would have happened. But man, it looked like Triple C was finally trying to find it. However, when he got that eye poke, it also looked like he was looking for a way out of the fight. So I just don't know which way it would have went. But unfortunately, I took his money line, and they took my money.
Damn. See, Slick, I saw a lot of people fight to start round 4, fight not to start round 4. Herzog starts the 4th, but then says time. And it was just some weird kind of technical protocol just so they could score the fight because more than half the rounds had been completed. It was very weird all in all. Do you think anything was like kind of shady or sketchy business? What do you make of it?
It's weird because a lot of the times, like we've only seen this scenario happen probably once or twice in like the last 4 years. The last time I recall was when Romanov fought Juan Espino, and then the fight got to like 1 minute into the 3rd round, and they scored the two rounds for Romanov or something, or they scored like half the 3rd round for Romanov. So that was the only time I could really recall, and it was just weird, honestly, because a lot of people were saying Song Yadong was looking good and all that, but man, was Song Yadong face pretty messed up in the pre-fight interviews and stuff like that. So maybe a lot of the stuff was getting a little overhyped of what Song was doing or something. But from what I've seen, man, Cejudo, for me personally, I really expected him to get the wrestling going, really look into that, exploit Song's weakness in that sense, because other than that, that's really, he has the striking advantage. But for me personally, it was weird. And then DraftKings even said that was probably the most the weirdest outcome on a bet, and fight to not start round 4 and fight to start round 4. So it was just pretty weird. I really hope they don't run it back. I really don't want to see that.
Yeah, technical decision for Yadong. Goes the distance, 3 rounds, but doesn't go the 5-round distance. All weird stuff. And Frosty Snake is in the comments, and he said, if I've learned anything over the years watching UFC, the overstacked cards flop, the big pay-per-views, and the cards that look mid end up being insane. So let's segue that into this week's card and get some pure bangers. And then there are 3 that we got to talk about right off the bat on the Mr. Plus Parlay Bus.
Mr. Plus Parlay Bus, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes.
Take it away.
Homies that are watching, do us a favor, smash the like, share this with a friend. If you're not subscribed to our Darce podcast, you're literally missing out on free money. And just to piggyback on exactly what Brasco said, if I'm not hot on the buses, the Brasco breakdown was hitting all plus money plays. 8 weeks in a row before that, Slick didn't not hit the Slick report. It was just 8 in a row for our guy Slick. So it's time to cash 5+ buses in a row. Let's jump on the bus. Let's fucking go, man. I love when we're hitting for you guys. I can't lie. Leg number 1, I'm jumping right into it. Man, we're taking maybe the fucking grittiest dog on the entire card. And I don't mean dog by plus money because he's a minus 480 chalkboard. I'm taking Chepe, the absolute monster beast dog. This guy is on a four fight win streak in the UFC. And man, he is looking like a bat out of hell. He crushed my boy Damon Jackson on the last fight. And I took a shot at Damon. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know what to expect. But man, Chepe's the real deal. This is a guy who he'll walk through fire to make sure he wins. If we remember that Trevor Peak fight, that was absolute bananas. And that made me realize I need to be betting on this guy every time. Again, I fumbled the bag on the last time he fought with Damon Jackson, but it ain't happened again. He's going to beat the fuck out of Ricardo Ramos. Don't get me wrong. Styles make matchups, and Ramos has that submission advantage, and he's there. He's got, if they get into a grappling situation on the ground, maybe he can throw something up, but I don't think so, man. I don't think Chepe ever lets it get there. He's always going to be a step ahead. He's the better fighter here, and I think this is going to be standing up a lot of the time. So give me Chepe. I think this is an easy leg. It is a chalky leg, and this is a chalky plus bus. But let's move right on to leg number 2. Another little bit of chalk here, and I've seen a lot of cappers. I've been watching some of the shows. On the other side of this, a lot of them are taking a dog shot on Sam Patterson. Not me. Give me the left hand of God to right the wrong in the last fight where he did win against the Veretennikov, who we saw get his start last weekend. However, left hand of God going to right this wrong by knocking Sam Patterson the fuck out, just like Ashmoose did. I know you guys remember that one. Listen, Danny Barlow's just slicker, man. He's faster. He's better. His stand-up is better. He's got way more power in his hands. And if he touches that chin, I get it. Sam Patterson, taller, rangier. But if he gets in there and touches that chin, I think Sam Patterson is going to sleep. Night, Sam Patterson. Give me Danny Barlow for leg number 2. And to finish off the bus and cash us in for 5 weeks in a row, this for me is one of the tougher legs. But I'm going with Esteban Ribovics versus Nasrat Haqparast. Listen, if I said those wrong, Danny's going to clean it up for me. Don't worry. Esteban Ribovics, after that last W, and we just saw him beat up Daniel Zellhuber. It was a split decision in maybe what could have been fight of the century. He did get his hand raised, and it was warranted. And I remember I had Zellhuber, so I was a little bit biased on it. But when I watched it back just recently, earlier today, bro, Esteban Ribovics, it could have been unanimous. It could have really been unanimous. He just had the bigger moments. I think he's going to have the bigger moments here. Let's not sleep on Haqparast, though. 4-fight win streak. Dude is a dog. Some would say he lost that Jared Gordon fight, his last fight. However, other than that, he pretty much starched his other 3 guys. Quinones, I remember that was a good fight, the younger guy, but it was unanimous. I think he's gonna put up a fight here. This is not a lay down. However, Ribovics is like in his prime right now. I don't know how he's on an Apex card after the amazing fight he just had with Zellhuber. However, after this one, I could see this guy being not co-main event, but definitely on the main card of a pay-per-view. Ribovics to cash in the plus bus, and I'll see y'all when that shit fucking cashes. 5 in a row.
Going for 5 straight Mr. Plus and 3 legs to do it. Going with 3 fun fighters, man. Chepe Mariscal, Danny Barlow, and Esteban Ribovics. Put them together, plus 115. Slick, let's go over his legs. I mean, first off, Chepe. Holy shit. I mean, he said it. It's just a bat out of hell. This guy is a junkyard dog. Dirty boxing, grappling, pressure. He will just wilt you. Pace, toughness. He's tough to deal with, man. So... his opponent, Ricardo Ramos, like Plus said, he's skilled. He's got jiu-jitsu. He's got submission threats. He's got that nasty guillotine. He can jump slick chokes. He's got kind of slick striking, too. He throws spinning attacks, explosive flying knees. But he has disappointed. He's shown low fight IQ a bunch. I feel like eventually he'll probably just break, right? He's a guy that might end up quitting if it gets hard in this late second, round third, late third. I could see Chepe getting mad at there. What do you think, Slick?
Yeah, this is the right to wrong. This is the fight that I've been waiting for a long ass time, because Ramos, clear as day, robbed us in Australia against Josh Kulabau. I don't know how in the fuck we got robbed in that fight. I really don't know what the judges were looking at. Josh Kulabau won that fight clear as day. I don't know what the fuck. But now we finally get a chance to right the wrong. And now we getting our guy Chepe Mariscal in here against Ricardo Ramos. And now it's just gonna be a fight that I have to go all in on Chepe in any type of manner in this thing. Because the one thing you said, everything checks out for Ramos. He's a real decorated striker, real Brazilian black belt in jiu-jitsu. But the one thing he lack is heart. And that's one thing we've shown time and time again. When somebody hits him with a big strike, when somebody gets out of his submissions, whenever somebody just doesn't fall for his spinning elbows, he gets broken time and time again. And we've seen Chepe. He's been fighting tough guys. He's been fighting Damon Jackson, Morgan Charrier, fighting Tara Peak, guys that have heart. And now he's fighting a guy that he is going to break in the second or third round. Chepe is one of those guys that he's more of a clinch destroyer, I would say, because when he gets you in that clinch, he just does not let you get out. He's real great with the elbows, with the damaging knees in the clinch. So I just think this is a great spot for Chepe to get a finish. I would say I believe this will be his first finish in the UFC. God knows what the ref was doing in his last fight against Jackson, because that fight could have got finished anytime after the second round. But hey, man, I gotta go Chepe here, big time. I'm not wasting the opportunity. Like how I did Silva last week. I'm not wasting the opportunity. I'm not worried about minus 500 price tag. I'm pricing them with everything, with NBA, with NHL, with anything, and he cash for us.
Chepe and everything. Wow, Slick is uber confident in Chepe here. I mean, like you said, my guy Jewish Better, he's in the comments here, and he likes to talk about a matchup, will versus skill, right? Sometimes the will, you just want it more. And like you said, facing guys with heart. Oh, man, Ramos, if it gets nasty, and it always does, Chepe's putting it away. I can't believe that none of his fights have ended inside the distance yet. That's insane. This one very well could, minus 500. Plus, the next leg is an interesting one. It's Danny Barlow, like you said, coming off a disappointing split decision win. Veretennikov, got washed by Austin Vanderford. So we found out, okay, he's not really a complete game, right? He's got no ground game whatsoever. But that wasn't how the fight played out against Barlow. Slick, it was a weird, kind of uneventful striking affair. In his fight with Josh Quinlan, Danny Barlow actually broke his arm and then finished the fight, still got the knockout after breaking his arm. So I'm wondering, maybe, was there anything lingering in that next fight that maybe held him up in the Veretennikov fight? I don't know. But maybe that could be a reason. I think he could get back in the win column personally. But Patterson, the long, rangy guy, he's known for his jiu-jitsu, I think, more than his striking, right? So he uses that long, lanky frame to kind of wrap you up on the ground, find this smothering chokeholds. I think this fight's ending inside the distance, but I kind of agree with Plus. I think the left hand finds its way down the middle, just fires a piston down the pipe and chins Patterson. What do you think about this fight, Slick?
Yeah, this is just definitely, I have to go with Danny Barlow in this spot. If he has any type of sense in film study or something, he will just have to look at that Ashmos fight. Ashmos, he threw a body kick at Ashmos. Ashmos caught the kick and then ended up whatever happened after that fucking hell of punches. But if Barlow really looks at that body kick, he fights with, he wants that left hand. If he fights southpaw and Sam Patterson gets that body kick going, he's going to be able to crack Patterson while he throws that body kick. He's going to have that left hand all day, every day. So this is just going to be a spot that Patterson, he's not really a wrestler. I like to bet on submission guys that want to get the fight down to the ground. He expects more of a scramble, or if he gets knocked down, he's able to threaten a heel hook or a knee bar, and that's how he gets his opportunities to really get the submissions on the regional scene. We just haven't really seen him. We seen him fight Kiefer Crosby, where Kiefer Crosby cracked the fuck out of him, and he just said, "Fuck it, I'm taking this fight down to the ground." So if that's the same aspect in the Danny Barlow fight, Danny Barlow, you're not gonna get up from when he cracks you. If he gets a clean shot on you. And also about his last fight, I just think he fought a guy that was probably the same stature as him. I would say Veretennikov fights exactly like Danny Barlow. He wants to wait for that one cracking type of shot, and he's willing to wait for it. And Danny Barlow just played that same type of game, and he just wasn't. A lot of times when Danny Barlow fights, a lot of people initiate stuff, and he's able to crack him with that left hand as a counter. So Veretennikov just didn't give him that. So this is just a way different matchup. Sam Patterson is not the type of guy to just stand on the outside. He's willing to give one to take one. So if he takes one from Danny Barlow, I can see this fight ending pretty fast. So I'm gonna take Danny Barlow by knockout in this spot.
Yeah, I like it. I like it very much. Great point about styles making fights. People compare levels of fighters. Well, he beat him. Well, he looked bad against him. What style did he bring? What about his game changed his approach, right? That matters a lot more sometimes than the general level that you perceive the guy at. So really good point. Plus, the last leg is a banger, and you said it, man. What a shame that the guy coming off the 2024 Fight of the Year is here on a no-name Apex card. Esteban Ribovic, pure violence, has made me an ultra fan. Watching tape for this guy and studying his fights was an absolute pleasure. Holy shit, he comes to fight, man. And in his last one against Zellhuber, like you said, split decision, but it could have been unanimous. I mean, he had Zellhuber hurt so bad. I can't believe he survived just on instinct, just moving, sticking and move, trying so hard, but it was incredible. And I think in this matchup against Haqparast, he could put him away. I know Haqparast is also on a tidy win streak, like you said. He's beating good veterans, but he's getting into these competitive, bloody fights with older, mid-level veteran guys like John McDessie, right, and Jared Gordon. Those are good fighters, but they're guys that are kind of just like using their veteran forward pressure and toughness to kind of piece him up and make it nasty and make it ugly. And I think Haqparast is hittable. He finds ways to give away rounds, give away moments. He's very good. He's getting better. He's got a nice jab. He sticks and moves. He's got good movement, but he just ends up in nasty fights. And now you give him a 14-1 fiery young striker like Ribovic, who puts way more sting on his shots than Jared Gordon and John McDessie, who were hurting it bad, had him all busted up. I think Ribovic can land shots that really compromise him eventually. And we know he can take one back, right? He's more than willing to. So, yeah, man, I think he's got a sneaky big power in his high kicks, too. It's like, you think he could put him out of there? Or am I overrating Ribovic or underrating Haqparast? I see some sharp people taking him as a dog. Oh, you're muted.
I think the thing about this is that the UFC finally know they have a star in the making, and they're not giving him the type of style that would negate his starism, you know? Like, after that fucking Romanov fight, that Luik Romanov, that he got 16 takedowns and Ribovic got up damn near every time. They said, fuck that, bro. We're going to give you strikers to really show out your striking. They gave us Terrence McKinney. Then they give him freaking Daniel Zellhuber. And now they're giving Nazareth Haqparast. They know this guy is up for fun fights. So I'm glad that the UFC actually doing him right. Not putting him in the apex, but, man, I just think, like you said, this is just a spot that he's going to land the more damaging shots. We seen in that Landon Quinones fight that even though he got the better of Landon Quinones, man, was his leg fucking done. Like, that leg, like, Quinones was landing leg kicks like no tomorrow. And that's one real underrated game about Esteban's arsenal, you know? Like, we seen it in the Luik Romanov fight. And now we really didn't get to see his last two fights because it wasn't really needed, you know? So I think this is a good spot for Ribovic, man. He's going to land the more damaging shots. Nazareth isn't going to shoot takedowns, so it's just going to be a stand-up fight. And in the stand-up fight, I have to lean Ribovic.
Yo, and plus, I want to get your last take on some of these, maybe some methods you'd like. But, like, they're only, I think, a year apart in age. But Haqparast feels like 10 years older. He's taken a lot of damage and a lot of UFC. But he's got great experience. He's fought guys like Dan Hooker back in the day, right? I mean, but taking damage to guys like Bobby Green and Dan Hooker and even lower level guys like Slick said, Landon Quinones getting beat up. So I feel like Ribovic's going to beat him up. Any methods you want to mention that you're playing in these fights?
Man, I feel exactly like you do with the Ribovics. I think he could get him out of there. That could really happen. We've seen Drew Dober knock has whatever the fuck, man. I hate saying this guy's name. And you guys love that, right? I do think that Danny Barlow gets the job done inside the distance. However, he's got to keep pressure. He's got to put the pressure on immediately because we saw Sam Patterson under pressure. What happened in that Ashmoose fight? If he doesn't come with pressure and he stands back and waits, I mean, he can find himself getting taken down, maybe even Sam Patterson taking his back. So I think Danny Barlow's really got to avoid that. But, yeah, I think all three of these guys could get it done inside the distance, if I'm being honest.
You got to love it. If you're going to lay chalk, you want to know your guy can prove that he's worth the price tag, and that means getting your opponent out of there at these lines. So I love it. We got Barlow, we got Chepe, we got Ribovic, we got a plus bus going for 5 in a row, baby. I like it. All right, man. Next up, salute to the Slick Report.
It's early in the game and you know we on time. Slick Report's coming, ain't never don't stop. And I'm make captains with the knowledge and the flow. From the East Coast, getting that paper like a Philly bankroll. Rocking every fight, keep the audience on hold.
And Slick, last week we guessed what your Slick report was going to be. And this week, I honestly knew it once again. So take over. It's the first fight of the night. I can't believe it. It's low-key a banger. What do we got?
Yeah, we're going with Charles Johnson money line, man. This guy has just been a cash cow for us. Just other than the Joshua Van fight was the only fight that I faded him on. But on his win streak, man, this guy has just shown the evolution in every single fight, man. We already know him for having a great chin. We already know him for having great defensive grappling, I wouldn't say great takedown defense, but his get-up game is some of the best we ever seen. And this is just a spot that I would say close to the Angela Hill fight and Kayla Souza fight. We got a guy that was coming in on a great knockout against CJ Vergara. And me personally, I'm just not high on that. You know, CJ Vergara was on his way. Like, this is a guy that was running away from Da Silva, who was on like a 0-5 in the UFC. So I'm not too high on that. I think this is a good spot for Charles Johnson. I know at the end of the day, this is going to be a spot that Charles Johnson is more of a slow starter. He likes to get those reads going, likes to get that teep kick going through the middle, and just try to get like a Yan type of style, you know, get the reads, and that's how he gets his striking flowing. And Temirov is a fast starter. You know, he likes to get the power punching going early, throws everything. But the one concern, I think that this is a spot that if you're backing Temirov, is the guy only throws power punches. Like, he only, like, on the regional scene, he has low volume because all of his punches are just swinging for the fences, you know. And that's the spot that worries me against a good durable guy in Johnson that has never been KO'd in his UFC career, has fought some of the best that the UFC has offered on the regional scene as well, fighting Brandon Royval and not getting submitted or knocked out by Brandon Royval on the regional scene. And Temirov, if at the end of the day, man, if he comes in here and proves to me that a lot of people in this featherweight, in this division hasn't really shown, then at the end of the day, man, take my money, bro, because I don't think that he's going to be able to win a decision against Charles Johnson. He's going to have the volume. At the end of the day, I don't think that if he even gets the wrestling going, I don't think he's going to be able to hold Johnson down. And Johnson's just going to get better but as the fight goes on. Second and third round, we've seen Johnson time and time again have the cardio edge on a lot of people. He does not slow down. At the end of the day, we've seen him knock out Joshua Van, a real tough guy, like, has been wars with Edgar Chairez, guys like that has been through a lot of fucking wars in the UFC, and Charles Johnson was able to knock him out in the third round. So at the end of the day, if this fight ends by KO and Temirov takes my money, hey, take it. But this is more of a level check than anything. Charles Johnson, he didn't really want to take this fight, but the one thing that we know about Charles Johnson is he loves to stay active. So at the end of the day, I'm going to take Charles Johnson in this spot, give him a little veteran check. And Temirov, if he doesn't get that KO in the first round, he's not the type to really slow down. But as the fight goes on, those overhand left and right hooks are just going to get more and more readable in the sense of Charles Johnson. So I'm going to take Charles Johnson in this spot. And I have to sprinkle the round 2, round 3 KO in this spot.
Let's go. Energy Charles Johnson. If you go to his Instagram, go watch his last post about this fight. Hilarious. He says, trap card activated. I'm going to get this Oompa Loompa out of here. He's got no respect for Temirov. And honestly, Slick, I love it. Temirov, like you said, wild swinger, the haymakers, the huge spinning attacks. He throws everything into his shots. Johnson's seen it all against a lot of different tough styles and wide array of opponents. He's never been stopped in his pro career, and he's got great UFC experience. He's on a 4-fight win streak. You know, he's had those weird split decisions earlier in his UFC career, but he's gotten past that. He's only getting better with experience. Like you said, good get-up game, better takedown defense, and once he falls into rhythm with that boxing, gets his reads, he starts making you miss, then he just rolls downhill, and it's just like the snowball effect. So I think Temirov can get caught with that. Mr. Plus, what are you thinking? Now, Johnson was plus 115. He's minus 110. Pick him now.
Yeah, I got to side with Inner G, the veteran here, man. I really do. It's just, when you're going against the guy who only has one UFC fight and that only opponent was CJ Vergara, really there's not much to compare your record to or your career to. When I do look at this fight and I look outside in and just literally looking at these fighters, man, the size difference is just going to be absolutely insane. 7-inch reach advantage, and that's Charles Johnson's world. That's where he loves to live. On the outside, piecing you up, out pointing you, and then sometimes you just run into that fucking uppercut from hell like Joshua Van did. So yeah, I think that this Temarov's got a little bit too much hype on him. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, this guy's the real deal." I mean, 5'4" against 5'9", 7-inch disadvantage on the reach. I think he's in a world of trouble here against a world-class striker in Charles Johnson. And that's his fucking way of That's his path. His path to victory is a 3-round, beat you up, bounce back and forth, karate style. Give me Charles Johnson, man. I like him. I think he does it again. And I love that he's talking shit. That makes me like him even more.
Hell yeah, he's feeling confident. Slick said he didn't want to take the fight. Do you mean like he wanted someone ahead of him? Like not kind of go backwards in the... Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's deserved it. He's worked hard for it. And Jameson in the comments says, I'm thinking of waiting and seeing if the live line on Johnson, if he survives the first. That could be a good way to play it. Johnson has dropped the first round and then taken second and third many times. That's a veteran move of his. Jeff Hatley maybe thinking fight to go the distance, but Slick sprinkling the second or third knockout, he says. And Darce Podcast, that's Cal on the ones and twos. He says Johnson's only been knocked down once in the UFC, never been knocked out. So, man, the toughness is there. Charles Energy Johnson for the Slick Report this week. Gotta love it, guys. And now put your hands together. It's time for the Brasco Breakdown.
Brasco's Breakdown. Brasco's Breakdown.
Whoop! And we got a 2-legger for you guys this week. One of the fights we already discussed, so I'll get to that to close out. But first up, it's Danny Silva taking on Lucas Almeida. And I like me some Danny Silva, man. This guy's got that junkyard dog in him as well. And Slick knows it. Slick's been on this guy early. Just great forward pressure, great toughness. Yes, he's only 9-1, but he's got 7 amateur fights that I really like to see as well. So got good experience before he went to pro. And man, he's just been grinding away in his career. He's willing to go the distance. He's willing to mix it up his game and go, take the fight wherever it needs to go. And in his last fight, he fought Josh Kulabau in a split decision that maybe some people aren't going to rate that win that highly. I think Kulabau is a damn good fighter. And it was an awesome fight where both guys were taking a ton of damage. Silva refused to back down, just kept the pressure going. The commentators were talking about his weight miss and thinking that he might gas out in the later rounds. He was the one pushing the pace and using his cardio to the advantage of a 29-28 split. And just, those short uppercut shots in tight, he's able to land. He mixes in those back takes and his grappling. Just great physical strength for the featherweight division too. And what I really like about this spot is Lucas Almeida. Yeah, he's a power puncher. He's a dangerous Muay Thai style striker, but he swings heavy. He's a kind of that big shot guy. And I know Silva, not the greatest with his head movement, but I think he can take Almeida's best punch and deliver back a counterpunch. Almeida leaves himself wide open to counterpunches. We saw Andre Fili sleep him cold with a counter right hand. So watch out for an overswing and a return, maybe shovel hook or uppercut from Silva. I like Silva to be able to grapple him too. You look at Almeida's last fight against Timmy Kwamba, a guy that he should have put away easy. Kwamba's tough. He dropped Kwamba 3 times and ended up dropping the 3rd round. Kwamba got on top of him at the end of the fight, started landing elbows and shots. So that to me shows me that Silva, a guy with his toughness and pressure, can probably wilt him if it gets nasty. As long as he doesn't get cold clocked, like go to sleep like Javid Bashrat style by a right hand, then I think he wears on him and takes it deep and eventually makes it grimy and nasty. And that's not a fight that Almeida wants. He wants space. He wants mid-range striking. So give me Danny Silva. And I'm pairing him up with Esteban Ribovic, man. I told you why I like this guy. Hak Parast, good fighter. I like Hak Parast. But if you're competitive with Jared Gordon, John McDessie, Landon Quinones, these types of guys are putting damage on you, just go watch the 2024 Fight of the Year with Daniel Zahuber. Esteban Ribovic is putting work on him, and I think he can get him out of there. I think he's going to bust him open in the first round. Maybe doctor has to come in and look at the cut and maybe say no more. So Esteban Ribovic, Danny Silva, put them together. You get plus 106 right now. And I see some of those lines on the move. So get the best value you can. Slick, tell me about Danny Silva. I know he's been a favorite of yours. Do you think he's a good spot? He's kind of a wide favorite. Now, Almeida is dangerous.
This is just a spot, man, that we always say the saying, eat one to give one. Danny Silva eats 5 to give 5. Like this guy he really has no striking defense whatsoever. And this is like a Drew Dober spot. Unless you crack his chin and prove to me that you could crack his chin, I have to go with Danny Silva in this spot. We know the one thing that we know about Almeida, like you said, that he's more of a counter puncher than anything. He wants to get that clean look away left hook that he throws, that how he got Trezano with. And I just don't think that Silva is I think he's gonna get caught with something and then just break the distance right away, you know. And that's one thing that we know about Silva that was winning a lot of those minutes against Joshua Kulabau in the clinch, that this is not a guy that wants to hold you in the clinch. He wants to put you in a spot where he could put as much damage as he can on you. And if you're anywhere close as him, then, man, I feel sorry for you. This guy has, I would say, a good all-around base. Like, we've seen him almost submit Joshua Kulabau in that spot. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, either Joshua Kulabau got out of it or the round just ended, if I'm not mistaken.
In the very first round, he caught him with a short uppercut and it hurt him. And then he jumped a guillotine and he had a mounted guillotine. And yeah, he got out of it. Actually ended up losing the first round. Kulabau came back, started piecing him up, but Silva came back with his toughness and that pressure and won the second and third.
Yeah, and that's one thing you could also say about Josh Kulabau is he's not willing to fight on his back foot. You know, he likes to keep that pressure going, likes to keep that jab going. And that's one thing that we've seen about Danny Silva. I would say deters him from a lot of stuff but that's one thing Lucas Almeida doesn't have. You know, he really doesn't have that generation jab that really stings you, you know, that really stops you in your tracks. I think Danny Silva, even if Danny Silva wants to go full blown out wrestling in the spot, I think it's a great spot. You know, I would say Lucas Almeida is probably one of the fakest black belts. If he has a black belt, then I have a black belt in my room somewhere. Because, man, this guy, he throws a lot of stuff off his back. But, bro, you're submitting guys that are like 0-10, doesn't really have nothing on the regional scene. First time we seen him on his back, I understand it was Pat Sabatini, but like I said, bro, like at the end of the day, it's either grappling or you don't. And when you look like a fish out of water in the grappling department, then hey, I don't believe you have any type of grappling in my eyes. So I think this is a good spot for Danny Silva to really inflict some good damage. And like you said, Feely caught Lucas Almeida with a good counter left hook. I don't even think Danny Silva needs to do that. I think he needs to get him in the clinch and just land some of those shoveling elbows, some of them overhand right hooks that he throws. And even if he wants to get the grappling going, get a takedown afterwards, I think he's going to be able to get it. So I think this is a great spot for Danny Silva.
Yo, I love it. Exactly like your point. It's not like Josh Kulabau was piecing him up with the straight punches and sticking and moving, good footwork, staying on the outside. Almeida's looking for the right hook, left hand, just sleeper combination. And I think, like you said, Silva can shoot on him like that. If he comes with a grappling first game plan, I'll be excited. Like you said, fine. Pat Sabatini, you get arm triangle by him. No shame in that. Pat Sabatini's damn good on the ground. But Timmy Kwamba, who's damn near on death's door, gets you on the ground in the third, starts beating you up. Like, man, Silva can get to him as well, I think. So, yeah, I agree. Not scared by the black belt of Almeida. We like Danny Silva in this bout. And, yeah, pairing him with Esteban Ribovic. That's your Brasco breakdown. Mr. Plus stepped out real quick. He's got some fatherly duties. I think he's picking up his daughter. He's going to be coming right back. So, Slick, before he gets back, I guess we should talk about – actually, we can move on forward because he'll be back in time. Well, we got to let him out the cage at some point, right? It's time for the dogs. Got to move on forward. I'm sure he'll come back for his dog of the week. But first of all, I've been waiting the entire week to talk about this guy. And Slick put me onto him, man. Slick's been a fan of his. And I talked about enjoying the Esteban Ribovic fight tape. I was on my feet in the middle of the afternoon, screaming in my apartment, watching this guy's fight tape. Holy shit, Slick. Fire me up for your dog of the week.
We're going with the Category 5 Hurricane Hyder Amil money line plus 180. It's crazy because his last fight, he was plus 182. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of good luck. But man, this is just a spot that I have to fade William Gomez in this spot. William Gomez robbed us clear as day in his last fight against Joanderson Brito. Watching back that fight, I really don't know what the judges saw. More damage on Brito's side, more back control, more everything on Brito outside of maybe one shot from William Gomez. But this is just a spot that I have to back Hurricane because he's one of those guys that he does not worry about getting hit. And he's gonna come forward every opportunity he can. He has a gas tank of a mini Marab in the sense that his pace gets you tired watching him. Like on the regional scene, man, this is a guy that will break you. Like literally, like Anthony Hernandez, but a hell of a better striker. Like he goes to the grappling, he goes to the wrestling, he goes to the striking. Like his last fight, he landed a 38 strike combo to get Jung Young Lee out of that fight. And after that combo, he looked like he just went into the ring. He did not breathe hard at all after that combo. And this is just a spot that I have to. William Gomez, for me personally, only got that fight because it was in Paris, and you know the whole he was probably one of the only dogs that people were taking a shot at, only because the fight was in Paris. Nothing from his game shows you that outside of him not doing stuff, for you to not doing stuff is trash. Like this is a guy that he has 72% striking defense, some of the best striking defense I've seen, but that's more in the sense that he has not fought somebody that is willing to go away from his jab, because that's how he keeps that striking defense so clear. Whenever you try to close the distance, he likes to keeps that little jab going, likes that teeth kick, that body kick, and keep the distance. I have to go with Hyder Amil in this spot. I know without a doubt he is going to close the distance in this spot. William Gomez is finally not going to get a split decision win, a majority decision win against a guy like his only KO in the UFC was a nut shot that once again in Paris that the fucking ref was like, bro, we have to stop this. I never seen no shit like this. The guy clear as day hits him in the nuts. Giannis Gomori is in his corner, and he's like, yo, I'm ready to fight. And then the ref said, nah, it's cool. You said it TKO. I never seen some shit like that. Hyder is going to create another category 6. Fuck 5. Category 6 Hurricane plus 180. Give me that money line.
Let's go. Hyder Amil, one of my new favorite fighters. Line's on the move. It's plus 165 now, so get it. Yeah, I saw plus 180. I hit up slick, and by the time I went back to bet it, people started betting it too. Bro, the guy's a savage. He's a savage. His chin, he has the chin of 1,000 armies. Chin and cardio, always married, like Slick said. His pace is insane. He can mix his game up. I love the way he comes forward, too, throwing body kicks. It's not just the hands. He sets the punches up with his kicks and vice versa. So he's throwing thudding body kicks. He's bombing granite hooks just at your dome. Doesn't care what's coming back. If it does get him kind of wobbled, he shoots takedowns, mixes in the grappling, throws up rear naked chokes, looks the advanced position. I mean, he just does everything. Gilbert Melendez coach too, so he's got really good head coach. He's only getting better. And like you said, that Ji Young, I actually just wrote my articles today, and I wrote that it was a 25 punch combo. I literally watched it and I counted it. I guess I missed 13 strikes. Like it was, you can't even count that high. The Daniel Cormier and Laura Sanko on the commentary are literally like screaming like children. They're like, oh! Literally, they're like, what is happening? Out of control.
I will say, a lot of people talk about the commentary. I just want to say one thing. This could be a controversial take, for people in the comments to say, but Brendan Fitzgerald is top 3 in commentators.
My
top 3.
Bro, I like that you said that, because after Amil makes that, go watch that fight. After he makes that 38 punch knockout combination, Fitzgerald's call had me ready to run through he was like on his feet, and I have goosebumps, bro. So yes, great respect there. Mr. Plus, we're talking about Slick's dog of the week, Hyder Amil, plus 180, who just finished his last fight with one of the most insane combinations over the Tiger, Jung Young Lee. Do you remember that? And is your heart rate? Was your heart rate when you watched that one?
Yeah, I definitely remember that. The 38 punch combo looked like something out of a Street Fighter video game. Yeah, where was my heart? I was crying. Like that shit was hilarious. Yo, they oh my gosh. And I'll say this about that fight. This one coming up. Gomis is like a point fighter. And you're talking about Hyder Emil. This guy wants nothing but violence. So I got to go with the violence. This is a fight. I know Gomis usually he's pretty slick and does his thing. He's really fast. He's always got the speed advantage. Even his last fight against Joe Anderson Brito, man, I thought it could have went either way, but he got the job done. He got his hand raised. Whatever. I'm going with the violence here. I don't think the O goes anywhere. I'm seeing 11-0. Give me Hyder Emil. I like the plus money.
Let's go. Jewish Better in the comments says Gomis is a weasel. He's weaseled his way, like Slick said, to a majority decision and 2 splits. Jarno Aaron's, a Joe Anderson Brito split. I mean, and then a weird KO, right, which might have been an illegal strike in France. That Brito win was weird, man. Like you said, you could have scored it either way. And I think he's the inflated favorite because you beat a dangerous guy like Brito, right? Like that's going to look good on the resume. Brito's got some pretty good wins, but Emil I don't think he can get Emil's respect. Like you said, he's a point fighter. You got to have to separate Emil from consciousness if you want to put him away. And I think he's coming forward. You're not getting his respect. So love the dog of the week. Plus, now that you're back, let's get your dog of the week. Who are you rolling with?
Well, for my dog of the week, we're headed over to the main event of the evening. Now listen, before you start calling me a complete square in the comments and shitting on me because Manel Kape's probably going to rinse him, I like taking dog shots and plus money shots, and this is a great spot for Asu Almabayev. Listen, we saw Kape a couple fights ago lose to Mokaev, right? Muhammad Mokaev, who's no longer in the UFC. Dana White kicked him out for being such a fucking boring fighter. Asu Almabayev has a similar style of take you down. I guess he does a little bit more work when he takes you down. You know, he'll lay some ground and pound and try to advance positions and switch things up. If he gets taken down, he can sweep. I just think Asu Almabayev in this position, win after win, 21-2 record. These Kazakhstan guys are no fucking joke. I just think this is a good spot for him to win. And Manel Kape, how happy is he going to be that he's a main event in the Apex versus anything else after that last fight against Bruno Silva? You know, that was impressive. However, nothing brings back worse memories for me than having Manel Kape versus Mokaev. And that fight was just fucking pitiful. That was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. It reminded me of that Rose Namajunas and what was the girl fight that they just did nothing?
Carla Esparza. Never remember.
Yeah,
that.
Esparza. There you go. That was the male version of that fight. Yeah, I got to take a shot on Asu Almabayev here with the plus money. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm playing it like this, like a bettor, like a sports capper, like a gambler. Hear me out. Last fight of the night. Oh, I need Kape to cash the parlays. Yeah, everybody's going to need Manel Kape to cash the parlays. That's exactly why Asu Almabayev is going to destroy your parlays. lay off or hedge. I'm taking the dog in the last fight of the night.
Going Asu Almabayev, 21-2. I mean, the guy's got a damn good record. What the hell? Oh my God, just spam open on my phone that almost hacked my whole system. Asu going with the dog, thinking he could be the parlay buster. And Mr. Plus warning people against Manel Kape, who's slick. He has struggled against grapplers in the past. I mean, really good ones. Alessandro Pantoja and, like you mentioned, Mr. Plus, Muhammad Mokaev, really good wrestler. So Almabayev, I mean, do you think he could keep him on the ground, pinned to the mat? Or can Kape stay bouncy on the feet, keep it standing, and use his speed and his time and his explosiveness to land those shots. He put on a show against Bruno Silva. Can he do something like that and keep his hype train rolling, or is he here in the apex about to get into another weird kind of close fight?
No, I honestly think that he could keep this fight as boring as it is. Honestly, at the end of the day, this is just going to be a spot that we know, for one example, and that one guy is going to land the more damaging strikes, and one guy is just going to land the overhand right hand and hope to grab a single leg every single time. And that's the one thing I hate about Asu in this spot, because I bet Asu every single one of his fights come into the UFC, especially his last fight against Mateus Nicolau. And for Mateus Nicolau to really just able to win around against you, in the sense that he almost had him out of there, had him in a deep-ass guillotine, and almost got submitted in that second round. So you going 1-1 into the third, and if you didn't land this, it's funny because I watched tape on him, and he really landed like the roofie uppercut, but we know he don't have that in his arsenal, so he just threw the uppercut there and landed on Nicolau when Nicolau was trying to shoot a takedown out of all people against Asu. So outside of that third round, and then he just stood on top the whole third round, didn't do shit, just laid on top. And this is just a spot that I have to go Manel Kape. Outside of him breaking his toe in the Marquez fight, for him to even stuff takedowns with a broken toe is just crazy to me. And one of the takedowns was only warranted because Marquez fucking pulled his shorts down, and we were seeing Manel Kape butt on screen. So other than that, we seen Manel Kape get up time and time again. This is just a spot that I would say Asu is just a little bit too early, too soon. I would have liked to see Asu fight some of the more dangerous strikers, like maybe if Pantoja beats Kai Kara-France, would have liked to see him fight Kai Kara-France, would have liked to see him to originally fight a guy in Steve Erceg that he was supposed to fight. So this is just a spot like I have to go Manel Kape. Manel Kape was supposed to fight my guy, man, Brandon Royval. You know, y'all already know Brandon Royval is going to be my dog of the week, the Slick Report, my Darce leg, if y'all let me, if anything. So at the end of the day, man, I just think that Manel Kape lands the more damaging strikes. And this is a 5-round fight. Asu has been in a 5-round fight in the regional scene. But Manel Kape, the way the fights, some of his fights, the pace, and the Felipe Dos Santos fight and the Pantoja fight, the way he was able to still have cardio in that third round just shows me that he definitely has great cardio for 5 rounds. So this is just a spot I have to go Manel Kape. If Asu is able to hold them for 5 rounds, 4 rounds, 3 rounds, whatever he needs to win the fight, then hey, take my money. But Manel Kape is just destined to fight Pantoja.
I think so, man. I think Kape is also destined for greatness. I got to side with Slick. Looks like Cal likes it too. He says in the comments, no one really keeps Kape down. He has been, clinched up and grappled, but he likes the advantage on the feet for Almabayev. And plus taking the shot on Almabayev. So we got a dissenting opinion. Always like all sides of the coin. I like Kape as well. Maybe use him as a parlay piece, I think. But Mr. Plus warns against that. So it could be a close fight. I like Kape to keep styling on him. I agree with Slick that it's a little too early for Asu here. But we move on past the main event. Actually, one down. Here's a pick that people might disagree with too. Plus going out on a limb with Asu. Co-main event. My dog of the week. I may live to regret this. Don't look. I'm betting on Cody Brundage at plus 130, and I see their expressions already. They're already upset. Look, here's the thing. I feel like people are just either going to fade him or not want to bet on him because of his weird-ass results. He's getting bailed out in a couple fights that he was about to lose and then was saved by a no contest due to illegal back-of-the-head strikes. He won a disqualification in a very similar way in a fight he was about to lose and won because of illegal back-of-the-head strikes. So getting bailed. But he's fighting Julian Marquez, a guy that's 9-5. He's, 36 years old almost, I think. And what did he do? He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's been knocked out in all the fights. Yeah, fighting better people. But what are his last wins? He submitted Sam Alvey and Maki Patolo. Congratulations, bro. Like, come on. Those are guys that have long been out of the UFC. So I'm just not that afraid of Julian Marquez here. I know he's got a tight squeeze on his chokeholds. He's got power, but I feel like his biggest moment was asking out Miley Cyrus in a post-fight interview. Like, I don't think I don't rate him, really. So, yeah, Brundage isn't all that, but I think Brundage could actually out-wrestle him and out-grind him. He just has more ways to win. I actually think he's the better MMA fighter. Maybe I'm wrong as hell, and I may really deeply live to regret betting a Cody Brundage fight, which always ends very strangely. Mr. Plus, am I stupid for betting on this?
You just set yourself up for that one, bro. Yeah, I think betting on this fight in particular is stupid. Either side. You know, Cody Brundage. Holy shit! Do you even count the fucking Malkoon win? Is that a win? Do you count that? I guess it's on his record as a win, so we count it. Zach Reese, your only W. Zach Reese, looks a little bit better since it was a KO, but let's be honest, Julian Marquez. Yo, did you hear what Brasco just said? He said Maki Patolo, okay? And he said Sammy Alves, smiling Sam Alves. Listen, his last 3 fights, he got fucking knocked out. How do you back a guy up that got knocked out after knocked out after knocked out? It's hard to back that guy up at minus anything. But this should be a pick 'em. This should be a minus 110, minus 110, because who knows what's going to fucking happen. And you asked a bad question. Yes. Anyone who bets this fight might have something wrong with them. You might be too DJ. You can skip this one fight, Brasco. You're allowed to skip this one.
Something in me says that because Brundage is such an ugly bet, I gotta take it. You know what I mean? Slick hates it. He's disgusted. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, in all my years of betting UFC and all my years of watching UFC, I have never thought I would have a Henny break in the co-main event of a fight night. This is just a fight, man. I will go to the refrigerator, the freezer, get some Henny, probably take the fight to not go the distance, because this is the fight, if anything, if somebody breaks any type of limb or somebody gets injured or somebody gets DQ'd or something that's not supposed to happen is going to happen this fight. So at the end of the day, man, being at a guy like, style-wise, Julian Marquez does have good front chokes, and Cody Brundage does try to shoot takedowns. But man, I'll be mad. I'll be like feeding you alive right now if I tell you I did any type of tape study for this fight, because these are two guys that you don't want neither of your money on. At the end of the day, you have your money on Cody Brundage. He could walk out of the octagon in the first minute, and you'd be like, "What the fuck?" Julian Marquez, one of the most durablest guys we ever seen outside of his last 3 fights where he gets slept cold. I don't know what the fuck am I watching with him as of late. I'm good on this part, man. Take the fight to not go the distance, and best believe something will happen. We just don't know.
Yeah. Some kind of fight hijinks, you believe it. It's like said, Cody Brothers might just walk out of the octagon. Yeah, you never know. 585 joining the show late. No sweat, though. Hit the like button on your way in. If you haven't done it, guys, do that, please, before you leave the show. And yeah, I mean, it is a weird fight. I may live to regret betting it. Thank you for your warnings, fellas. Cody Brundage. Also, Jewish Better says, I warned you last week with Walker. Hey, man, Walker was better than you gave him credit for. He almost beat Manifield, so give me that at least. He did warn me. All right, guys. We did the main event. We did our Dogs of the Week. We did all of our segments. We got to come together now and lace them up for a Darce parlay. And oh, Lord have mercy, we are going to a low-level heavyweight fight to start the Darce. Mr. Plus, save us. What do we got in this banger?
Hell yeah, it's low level. But listen, when Austin Lane is on the fight card, I hit the fade button, and it's automatic at this point. And I understand he got a win against Robelis de Spain in his last fight, but this guy ain't built for 2 in a row. He ain't never getting 2 in a row. I'm going with Mario Pinto coming off of that fucking awesome knockout. The left hook, the ground and pound. It looked right, looked rough on the Contender Series. I had him there, and I'm going to have him again on Saturday night to start off the Darce. I think this is going to be a fight where he could just Hulk smash the shit out of Austin Lane. And he might catch him on the feet, too. Don't get it twisted. He's got power in his hands, bricks for hands. Dude's a big guy. But he'll naturally get this thing where he wants it, is probably going to be ground and pound. And Austin Lane thinking he's going to be slick and can do something off his back, and he'll take that position all day. And then boom, 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 fights over. Your face is part of the canvas now. Mario Pinto, leg number 1 on the Darce. Let's make sure we lace this one up in cash for him this week, boys.
He said your face is part of the canvas now. Yeah, I don't see it. NFL player. You got to fade NFL players. I can't believe that Lane beat Robellis. Just ruined the mythology of Robellis, who could have been a great mythical beast, but no, instead he's just a guy that gets wrestled. Lame. Slick, who's your leg of the Darce?
We're actually going to a really violent fight. We already talked about it. Either one guy is going to get submitted or one guy is going to get knocked out. We're going to go with the no distance in the Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson fight. Like I said, one of these guys are going to get their way. More than likely, Danny Barlow gets the knockout, but one of these guys is getting sent to the Shadow Realm, or one of them is getting put to sleep via sub. So no distance on the Danny Barlow and Patterson fight.
Totally agree. Someone's not making it the whole way. We'll close it out with a guy that I've just been super high on all show. It's Esteban Ribovic. I'm scared how much I'll have him in, but he's going to war. He's bringing the forward pressure. Guys that bring forward pressure to Hakparas have gotten home. And if Ribovic gets home, it's going to hurt. So we put those 3 together. Mario Pinto, Barlow Patterson not to go the distance, and Esteban Ribovic, and you get plus 108 on the Darce parlay. Bitsy's in the comments. He says, shout out to the crew. As a betting man, I get a lot of info from you guys, and I use it on making my bets. This week, Emil first round strikes will be on my radar. Interesting. He's betting some fight props. Those are always cool. And Slick, and plus we're talking about not betting on Cody Brundage and not wanting your money on guys like that. There's all sorts of guys you can put your money on that are going to fight for your money, like we like to say. This Danny Silvas and those Riboviches of the world. So yeah, maybe those are better investments. All right, guys, we covered almost every fight. Just a few to talk about on the honorable mentions. All right, and the 3 fights we have not discussed, I'm actually I might be sick in the head, guys, because I'm really considering betting this. It's Montana De La Rosa, plus 125, against Luana Carolina, minus 148. I like Luana Carolina. I think she's beaten way better grapplers. Am I wrong, Mr. Plus? I think she could beat her.
No, not wrong at all. She's going to be on my card. We just didn't put her on any of the show stuff, but I'm definitely taking Luana Carolina. This is a no-brainer, minus 148 line. I don't think I'll take her straight. I think she's a great parlay piece, but I agree with you. She's beat up better grapplers, and De La Rosa is just going to have to try to take her down, lay and pray for most of the fight to get the dub, and I don't see it happening. I think Luana can protect herself and avoid a lot of those takedowns or get back up if she does get taken down, and I think that she could keep her distance as well and is going to be a way better striker. Give me Luana Carolina. Easy bag on that one.
100%. Slick, she got the long, rangy limbs. She's got good in the clinch with the Muay Thai. So if De La Rosa's shooting takedowns, she doesn't get him. I think Carolina beats her up in the clinch, too. I like her wherever this fight goes. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought, honestly, we was done with the podcast and we were just going to go on with our lives with these last 2 girl fights. And, I really didn't think that we were going to talk about them because these are some of the most low-levelest girl fights I have ever seen, and I would never lay no type of chalk. Won't bet the over. I won't bet anything outside of split decision for these 2 girl fights. So I really don't have no take outside of, there's 2 girl fights that we need to talk about, and I'm going to take split decision for each girl fight. So outside of that, I really have nothing on tape. I didn't tape study these fights. All 4 of the girls that are left to talk about just aren't worth my breath. So,
God,
I'm gonna take the fight to end by split decision and just go on with my life.
It's like, do you feel the same way transitioning forward to Andrea Lee versus JJ Aldrich? I gotta get your take on this fight because I know you're hyped about it.
You have a girl that's 0-5 going into this fight. I really don't want to bet on her plus money. And then you got a girl in JJ Aldrich who has been as high as minus 500 and has lost. So yeah. I really want to bet neither of these girls. Maybe you take Andrea Lee just at the end of the day. She's risking her job at this fight. But do you really want to bet an 0-5 fighter? She's been to like 18 split decisions. Same with Aldrich. So, hey, man, at the end of the day, bet both girls to bet the split decision. And if, you could go outside, smoke something, or actually call your mom or dad or something, talk to them real quick, because these 2 girl fights, man, they are horrible.
Reminded a loved one that you still thinking about him and that you care. I like JJ Aldrich. She's got, I think, boxing advantage a little faster than 0-5 fight losing streak Lee. But Lee's plus 180. He's got the veteran experience. Plus, you care about this fight?
Slick is way too excited for these fights right here, yo. Oh my God, bro. Tell everyone how you really feel about him, Slick. Yeah, no, I'm backing up Slick on this one. This one's a no bet for me. You straight pass on this one. I mean, Andrea Lee's 0-5 her last 5 fights. And if it goes to the judges' scorecard, they fucking hate this girl. She's definitely not winning a split decision. So, if anything, you take JJ Aldridge, but, you just avoid this fight at all costs. You roll a blunt and start smoking during these.
Yeah, JJ Aldrich minus 205 is not a bet I would ever make in my life. Final fight of the night. This one could be fun. Douglas Silva de Andrade has 19 names. Plus 235 versus John Castaneda, minus 295. Castaneda's coming into his game. He's starting to look pretty good. And De Andrade, big physical Hulk of a guy, specimen, throwing these huge winging shots, but 39 years old right now. I don't know how much he's got left. I think Castaneda just probably outworks him. What do you think about this one, Mr. Plus?
I'm on the fence with this one. I'm not going to lie, because as Douglas Silva de Andrade is almost 40 years old, Jesus, he looks insane. Like he keeps in the best shape ever. This dude is clearly a vegan or something. I just you can't put my finger on it with him. But yeah, he's absolutely still a dog. And if you look at the level of competition these guys have fought, you could say that Douglas Silva de Andrade has fought the better competition over the course of time. John Castaneda's moment was when he beat Miles Johns, right? But other than that, I don't see it, man. He got pieced up by Daniel Marcos in that last fight. Just not a big fan of John Castaneda. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm looking at this as from a betting perspective. I'm just not laying minus 300 with John Castaneda. I'd rather take a half unit shot on plus 235 with someone who I think is even, and this fight should be a minus 170 plus 140 at the worst. So just for that reason, just for those reasons, I'm out. Shark Tank. Give me Douglas Silva de Andrade plus money, maybe half a unit, nothing crazy.
I could feel that, because at this price, like, there's no interest for me to bet John Castaneda. What do you think? Would you like a dog shot too?
I mean, I lean the favor in this spot just for the simple fact that I watched his Silva de Andrade's last couple fights. And the one thing that we known Silva de Andrade was he was one of those guys that would stuff takedowns and just employ his power punches. And his last couple fights, you just haven't really seen that. Like he's getting dropped by Cody Stamen in the 3rd round, a guy that like a wrestler turned boxer type of guy in Cody Stamen. But at the end of the day, like Mr. Plus said, you gotta look at value. If anything, the value is on Andrade. I'm not betting Castaneda and parlays, because he's just one of those guys that he looks good in the beginning. Next thing you know, he gets cracked, and then he just turns into something else that we haven't seen before. Like we've seen it time and time again when he likes to get that clinch, likes to make it dirty. So if he's able to just hold Andrade against the cage, he's gonna have good success. But on the outside, he's just one of those guys that's, at the end of the day, if you're betting on Andrade, you're gonna just wait for a punch, and that's gonna determine the fight, because it's either gonna hurt Castaneda and turn him into a full-blown wrestler, or Andrade is just gonna get jabbed out from the outside from Castaneda and get clinched to death.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. So interesting fight there, but maybe more competitive than the odds suggest. So, all right, man, we did the damn thing. It's UFC Vegas 103. Not big names, but some sneaky big bangers. Look out for the dogs of the week. I think those are some sneaky good picks on this card. Plus Bus going for 5 in a row. Loving the Slick Report. Confident in the Brasco breakdown, and appreciate every single person who's tuning in live in the chat. Please be sure to hit the like, leave a comment, let us know what you're betting on. And we're hyped up, man. Fired up for another week of UFC fights, guys. We're running the show every single week. We have so much more UFC to come, 11 straight weeks, and we're just in the middle of it. So we'll see you next week. On behalf of Slick Montana, Mr. Plus Money, Cal on the 1s and 2s, and me, Danny Brasco. This has been what's the name of the podcast? What the hell was that? This has been the Darce Podcast. I'm tired. Get out of here. Peace.
Jasmine Jasnovici is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darce podcast.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the Darce podcast.